Hello, friend. This week, 81-year-old author Joan Moran is going to share what she wishes she knew when she was 50 years old. She is absolutely showing us the way to age vibrantly and beautifully. I want to give a shout out to our listener, Marie in Orcas Island, Washington, who shared how much she loved the podcast with Shane Martin last week. I appreciate you so much, Marie. And I appreciate every last one of you who listens or views. You will truly never know how much you mean to me. And I hope that you'll please keep sharing these episodes with your friends because you're helping us grow. And don't forget, you can watch on YouTube and drop a comment. I will absolutely answer you back. Thanks for listening. And now, here's Joan. Hi, friends. I'm Lauren Bernick, and I'm flipping the script about growing older. My guests have been influencers since before that was even a thing. Welcome to the Anti-Aging Podcast. Welcome to Age Like a Badass Mother. Joan Moran holds 2 master's degrees, theater and education. Joan founded and was the artistic director of Las Vegas's first year-round theater. She is an author, motivational speaker, yoga and meditation instructor, and film producer. And she's just getting going at 81 years old. Joan began her writing journey with her memoir, 60, Sex and Tango, Confessions of a Beatnik Boomer. Other books followed, I'm the Boss of Me, Stay Sexy, Smart, and Strong at Any Age, and An Accidental Cuban, a thriller set in modern-day Havana. The novel is currently in development for a streaming series. Her recently published book, Once a Homecoming Queen, is a darkly humorous take on senior alcoholism, which she also adapted into an award-winning screenplay. Her latest book is a historical memoir of her mother, Suddenly Jewish, The Life and Times of My Jewish Mother. This is Joan's second time on the podcast. Please welcome Joan Moran. Hello, Joan.
Hello, Lauren. Thank you for having me on again. We have so much
You're
fun. That's why I have to come back.
I know. We do have fun. And you live in Austin with me, so we also get to meet in person. So that's fun.
Yes.
So I want to talk a little bit about your books because what's going on with, I'm holding it up if in case you're watching this on YouTube or Spotify. What's going on with Once a Homecoming Queen?
Well, I sometimes you have luck in Hollywood. Most of the time, you do not have any luck. So I had this screenplay, and I was on a website that you could pitch the screenplay to producers, literary agents, um, just anybody in the film industry, producers, companies. So I got lucky. I was about ready to get off of I'd won all these screenplay awards,
Yeah.
and I wasn't getting it. Nobody was taking it. Oh, I love it. I love it. It's great. It's great. It's going to make a great movie or film, blah, blah, blah. So this literary manager I pitched to, and she says, give me your 3 books. She was into what we call IPs, independent projects. So you adapt. This is the thing in Hollywood now. You're adapting movies from books. This is the new thing, but it's big. So
Wow.
she picked Once a Homecoming Queen, and I just got news that she had pitched it to a production company, an agent, and a actress's agent. And so everyone loves it and they want to see the book. So we're kind of moving. She loves it. She just absolutely loves the
Oh my
story. And
gosh.
it's for a 75-year-old woman. I mean, the woman's the lead, but there's so many actresses out there that are fabulous that
Mm-hmm.
could do it. So, if you get the lead actress and get a deal, you're on your way.
Oh
So
my God, Joan, that's so exciting. Who do you picture playing the
well, I
lead?
wrote it with Glenn Close sitting next to me. Not
What do you
literally,
mean? Oh, I was like,
not
damn.
literally. No, no,
So
I always
you
have
you
somebody
picture
in
it
mind.
you
I
picture it
always
for
have
Glenn
someone.
Close.
Yeah, and in fact, every one of those characters in the book I had in mind. They are based on people that I know, characters, the characters,
Yeah.
and so I get to talk, to them. It's kind of a funny kind of a situation, but you got this actress here, and this actress is delivering those lines. So
Right. So
that
you
that
can picture it
yeah,
in
you
your
can.
mind, like who's talking for the
Yeah. So
dialogue.
that's
That's
where that is.
incredible.
And because it's self-published, because the publisher I had went broke
Right.
and gave me the book back. We sort of had to start all over again, and I had to put it up on Amazon, but it's
Right.
fine. I got great reviews. People loved it.
Yeah,
So
it's a great
I'm
book.
good. You just roll with the punches.
I mean, that's part of it. And then, so your latest book, Suddenly Jewish: The Life and Times of My Jewish Mother. I mean, that's a crazy story. Can you just give us the version of what
Um,
happened?
it's a saga. Let's put it that way.
Right.
When you write about family and legacy, you write about sagas. You write in sort of a saga form. It starts in Odessa, Russia, in the Crimea, when my great great grandparents had to leave because of pogrom or anti Semitic Cossacks came after them and
Jeez.
pushed them out. The usual story of the Jews,
Yep.
you know. So we we see them next in London, where he sets up a confectionery bakery, and then this is sort of sprawling. Tragedy happens with her parent, with my grandmother's parents. She was the child of these people who moved to London. Then from London, after this tragedy happened, I won't ruin it because it really kicks off the family and the emotional uh, situation with the family. Uh, and they go, and my grandmother Rose goes to London, goes to Toronto, gets a job in the British Embassy, and she meets this guy who's a communist, who's a Jew, but not a Jew, and she's religious. So they have a problem. Uh, my grandmother gives birth to my mother and my aunt, and my grandfather was really an interesting guy, even though he was nuts. He was a genius. He actually created the original maiden form bra, the uplift bra.
Really?
Yeah, I think that's fun. I think that's really fun. And
That's amazing.
that's my fun thing. And then they moved to New York. He can't get it together. He's an abuser. He will not let my grandmother light the Friday night candles. He won't let her practice being a Jew. And my mother is very much influenced by this situation. This is why I'm going to get to it. Then they end up in San Francisco in the Fillmore district. She left the husband, she left my grandfather, and moved there. And my aunt, her aunt was there and living there. So the Fillmore district is a Jewish district in San Francisco. It started off that way with immigrants. San Francisco's got 11 districts and more immigrants than you can shake a stick at, who made that city fabulous. And my mother never wanted to be a Jew. She didn't want to be in the Fillmore. She didn't want to be her whole thing was hide behind the mirrors. Nobody's going to know who I am.
Right.
It's a story that's taken place in many families with people I have talked to. Everybody's got, oh, I got one. Oh, I got one. And
Yeah.
this happens. So she hid her identity for her entire life.
So you didn't know you were Jewish?
Not until ta-ta, suddenly Jewish. I'm 19 years old. I'm going
19?
19. I'm going with a Jewish guy who was at Berkeley. We were Berkeley in the 60s, both of us.
Wow.
He was a
Cool.
law student, was the best of times, and then, of course, the worst of times because right in front of our very eyes, Kennedy was assassinated.
Mm.
And this fellow, my mother knew I was dating a Jewish guy. She didn't say anything. She married a Catholic, and I was raised Catholic. So there was a time in my family when, you know, it was like I went to Catholic school for 17 years. I went to nursery school at the convent. It was bizarre. So comes to my room one day and she said, "I have to tell you something." And she said, your grandmother's Jewish." And I went, "Mom, it doesn't skip a generation. Got news for you. I know all that. And so you're Jewish. And now I'm suddenly Jewish.
Mm.
I don't know, what am I supposed to do with that? Right.
I
So I
mean,
go,
you wanted to be a nun at some
oh,
point in your
oh
life.
God, yes. And thank God my
Yeah,
speech teacher talked me out of it.
you wouldn't have been a great nun, I have to tell you, I don't think.
No, I don't think so. I would have been horrible. I've been kicked out of the convent. I'm sure of that.
You
But
would
anyway,
have.
this is a story and it goes on and there are all kinds of interesting things that happen with all the people in the book and how my mother at the end, a woman who fought so hard not to be Jewish
Mhm.
because she never wanted to be the other.
Right.
You don't be the other. and she made it on her own. And she was a highly successful, highly motivated woman, a terrific role model for me.
Yeah.
It's this one little thing that she could not acknowledge. But at the end, you'll see there is a conclusion, and it is a tearjerker at the end, if you don't
Yeah.
mind my
It
saying
was a
that. But
great book. It
she
was
had,
really interesting.
thank you.
And you're right. I mean, there were a lot of people who denied Judaism or just because, well, out of necessity, like, so they didn't die or various reasons, or like you said, they just wanted to assimilate and be accepted
And
into.
go out in the modern
Right.
world. There's
Right.
just a book that I read about, uh, from the Jewish Book Council, where I'm going to be pitching my story to these people, hopefully getting to tour and speak on the book, on the themes of the book. But there was a story that I just read. It was translated from Yiddish to English by this woman. It was written a while ago, but it's a story of a family in Poland, a very religious couple, 5 children, and each of those children left the pious, cloistered Jewish community and went on their own way. 5 children, and they'd come back and forth every now and then. But then this was pre-war, so the Holocaust came, and they went out in the world. But they knew what was going to happen. They knew
Hmm.
that there was going to be destruction and disaster. So I mean, there are bigger issues on this, and then the rise of anti-Semitism today,
Yep.
which is a concern.
Yep. Yes, it is.
Anyway, that's that book.
That's
I'm
great.
working on another one called
What's your new one?
Up from
Wait,
Hell,
Up from Hell?
Up from Hell, story about,
This
uh,
is fiction, right?
yes, in some ways.
In some
It's a story
ways.
about small town police departments in Texas, north of Austin. They have a history of things which, and he, this fellow who comes from Las Vegas, he came from Las Vegas when he was 8 years old because his mother was a heroin addict, and he had to, nobody would take him, so he ends up with his aunt in a town in Texas, very small, and wants to be a cop. And so this is about corruption in police departments, and he never knew who his father was until he went back to his mother's funeral, and there was his father, mafia.
Ah,
Mafia dude.
and you know something about mafia because I
Yes.
remember you told me in the first interview that the mafia financed your theater company in Las Vegas.
Well, my ex-husband moved. You know, he didn't want to work in San Francisco. He thought it did have anti-Semitism, elements of anti-Semitism. He was never going to make partner in a
He
law
was a
firm.
lawyer, right?
He was a lawyer, so he went to Vegas and knew some guys because he worked there during the summers. Another guy from Philly, and they represented the mob. So I kind of, for about 18 years while I was there, I kind of grew up with the mob, and I'll tell you, everyone says, "Why didn't you write a book on that?" I mean, that's so. I didn't, because Scorsese did the best movie of all,
Yeah.
Casino. And I knew all those guys in that film.
Wow.
There wasn't anything more I had to say.
Yeah, you know what? That was kind of definitive. So
Yeah, it was.
I get that. But I mean, okay, this is what I love about this conversation so far is that you are 81 years old and you are not slowing down in the least. And like, why should you? You're this beautiful, vibrant woman with so much life left that this is why I wanted to have you back because you're just an example of everything that I want to share with people in this world. Like this is what you can be. You don't have to slow down. You don't have to be on a walker and oxygen when you're 81. You like my mother was, she just and she there's no way this woman could have gotten on a podcast like to physically like she wouldn't have known how to get a link out of her email and get online and just even simple things like that you
Well,
know
I love the title of this podcast because, um, I was a badass mother, literally, to two very interesting sons. Now I have 5 extremely interesting grandchildren that I adore and are so much a part of my life. And in one of the ways that you keep young is that you communicate with your family, number one. I
Mm,
was thinking about what are the values that will keep you young? And family, contact with family, knowing that you have, um, that you have familiar, like Passover's coming, right?
yeah.
Okay, I make the brisket. I do it every year. Take it over to my family, and it's all just warm and wonderful. You make the phone
Mhm.
calls, you call the family that's not there. So I really
Right.
feel that family keeps you young. Grandchildren do keep you young. They really are fabulous. And that's one. That's kind of a number one on my list of things to keep in mind from aging. So I'm going to be 82 in November, and
Wow.
I have a theory about age. It's only chronology. It has nothing to do with who you are.
Right.
It's just chronology. You
Right.
don't go around with this thing on your chest going, "I'm 80," or, these things don't these things don't matter. They never matter. I was thinking about that
Right.
last night when I was dancing the two-step at the White Horse, and
I
I'm thinking, "Man, this is the most fun ever." Doesn't matter if I couldn't get up this morning very well because I had to,
You got up just fine. So, yeah, you go dancing like 5 nights a week, right?
yeah, if I can.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
It's
but that again,
crazy.
that's not for everyone, but take your Pilates, take your I've been a yoga teacher for God knows how long, and then I just practice my own yoga now. That's my thing. Or I walk, or so physical exercise, move, 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 move.
Mhm.
That's another part that I love about aging well.
Yeah, moving and balance. I mean, I think that yoga really don't you think that yoga really
The
keeps
best.
you young? We
That's
talked about this, like, you had the same theory because I had, a a yoga instructor a long time ago that said, "You're only as young as your spine is flexible," and you said something similar to
yeah,
that, right?
right.
Right. Yeah.
You're only as old as the length of your spine, the strength of your
Right.
spine. Yeah, or the length,
Right.
because we grow down.
Right. Oh,
You
I'm seeing that.
yeah,
My
you
aunt is like I could put her in my pocket. She's she is so tiny, and I know, like, I don't want that for myself, and also, I remember that, so I've been practicing yoga since I was, like, in my mid-20s, so probably 30 years,
yeah,
and I remember after about 10 years, I went to the doctor and, he was like, "Huh, this is weird." Well, they measure you and he's like, "You used to be 5'2" and a half. Now you're 5'3." And I was like, "What?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm
yeah.
stretching my spine in yoga." And I was like, "I know exactly what it is. It's rabbit pose." Do you know what rabbit pose is?
Tell
Where
me
you
what
curl up. It's like you curl up like a little snail on the floor and you put the crown of your head kind of between your knees and you pull on the back of your feet and you like kind of give yourself traction. I'm not explaining it very well, but you guys can Google rabbit pose. And not to be confused with your rabbit vibrator, everybody, but this is rabbit pose. And so you curl up like a little snail and you stretch the back of your neck and your spine. And I mean,
well,
I
is
do
it
it all the
the simple
time.
sun salutations will do it for you
Hmm.
because you're anytime you're lengthening, and please don't bend your elbows. Please.
What do you
Bending
mean?
bending elbows, if you don't work
Are you
too
talking
straight.
about in a chaturanga?
No, no, just in life.
Don't bend your
In
elbows.
other words, when older people have bent elbows,
I don't know
they
what that
can't
means.
straighten them.
Okay, so how do you avoid what do you mean? So what do you do?
So you do yoga. You do your down dog, but don't walk around like this. I have people who came into class who can't straighten their elbows. They're like this.
Well, we're on a podcast, so talk about what you're doing.
Oh, okay. So you're just your elbows are bent. You cannot straighten them. You cannot straighten your elbows. That means your joints are bad.
Okay, so you should be able to bend your elbows.
No, you should be able to straighten your elbows completely when you're doing your exercise. Yes.
Okay, but
Exactly.
okay, so okay, you're confusing me what you're saying. So you should be able to keep your
Oh,
elbows
yeah.
straight up over your head
Yes.
by
Otherwise,
doing yoga.
there
Okay.
are older people that cannot straighten their arm.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That means already it's contracting.
Okay. Yeah. And you swim a lot too, right?
Yes, I do. I
That's
love
good
swimming.
exercise.
Love swimming.
I don't love swimming. I feel like it's so boring to me. What do
Oh,
you do?
I
You
get the best
think?
ideas. I meditate. It's my
Mhm.
meditation. Yeah,
Mhm.
I love it.
I know it's so good for you, but man, I've just never been able to get into it, but I yeah.
It's okay.
Do you meditate also?
Yeah, but I love it in the pool because I'm it's a rhythm.
Mhm.
It's a dance, and sometimes I think of like a thing in my book, I have to figure out the next scene, or
Right.
what's the next scene, or where would this character go, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Maybe I should be blah, 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 I mean,
Mhm.
I'm working on it, whatever I need to work on.
You're
It just
think
pops up. It's
working it
very
out.
intuitive. It's very intuitive.
Mhm. Our friends at Whole Harvest Meal Delivery Service have taken the hassle out of eating healthy. Now you can get delicious, whole food, plant-based, oil-free meals that are ready to heat and eat delivered to your home. The most recent menu has meals like burgers, penne alfredo, and red lentil tiki masala. Check out your choices at wholeharvest.com/badass and use coupon code BADASS at checkout for $20 off your first order. You can find this information in the show notes. Are you dating anybody?
You asked me that before.
Not this time.
I know. Yes, I'm seeing someone. We don't
You're
date.
seeing somebody.
Older people don't date,
Do you have sex?
when I can get it. Yeah. The same answer. When I can get it, yes. There's all forms of intimacy, all
Yes,
kinds of intimacy, and you
you're
learn
right.
that, and you are happy with that, and it's about laughing and having fun and doing stuff. So,
Yes.
it's like I had a psychologist. He was a Jungian psychologist way back when I lived in LA, and I love this guy. He was terrific. And he said to me, he asked me this great question, and I guess I can ask your listeners a question, the same question. What was the age when you were the most happy?
Huh.
And I love this question because I could answer it just like that.
What I can't even I don't know. You answer it. What
19,
is it?
19,
19?
A19, Steely Dan.
That's right. I
Boom.
love that song.
That's it. And that's when I
Why?
met my husband at the time. And that's when life unfolded brilliantly for me on the campus of Berkeley. And and I was so definitive in what I wanted to do in my life.
Mm.
And I was so joyous, and I was home. I was literally home, physically, metaphorically. That was it. So it's a good question to ask yourself. When were you the most happy?
When you answered that, I think I actually have the same age, 19, because Uh, that's when I moved in with my husband. We lived together in sin before we got married. We had so damn much fun and we were so in love. And it was like life was just spread out before you. What do you wish that you knew, like at 50 or 60, about being 81?
I just assumed I would be the same.
Mm,
I never thought I'd ever change. Hey,
uh-huh.
19, I'm still that girl.
Yeah, I
I'm
feel the
still that girl
same.
going out dancing,
You
you know?
you literally are. But you know what? You're absolutely right. We had Dr. Ellen Langer on the show. Do you know who she is?
No.
She literally wrote the book on mindfulness like 40 years ago.
Mm.
And she was talking about thinking your way to chronic health. And she said people who expect to age well age well. And just you're proof of that. You just said that.
I I
Um,
also I also think you have to have passion. So at
mhm.
19, I had passion, and there was never a time in my life that I ever did. There wasn't a time in my life that I lacked passion.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't and I know it's my mother.
Yes.
My mother never she was an incredible seamstress, but she was also a brilliant businesswoman, designer. She designed kitchens. She got her master's degree, not her master's, her college degree when she was in her 50s and I was in high school, and we used to study together.
Oh,
And then at San Francisco State, and she became summa cum laude. And she learned, and she knew how to sew. That was not the point. That wasn't the point. The point was she needed to learn, because they were remodeling houses. My mom and dad were just brilliant at this, and they knew how to do. My mother learned how to do kitchens, and I can remember this was Greenbrae, California, which is right next to my high school that I went to, which was Marin Catholic High School in Marin County. And I was with my girlfriend, and I were walking around the apartments that she built. There were like 5 apartments in a
It's
condo or
crazy.
whatever.
Incredible.
And the woman comes out, and I said, my mom and dad built these. And she said, best kitchen ever. It was the best moment of my life. Or one of them.
That's so sweet.
And
Aw.
she did. Everyone loved her floor plans. And it's just one of those things that I remember about that woman who was so creative. Well, she never went out a day without exercise. She
Mm,
taught senior aerobics in Las Vegas,
incredible.
and they retired. I mean, it was like this woman had energy to so much energy and so much creativity, and she was a pragmatist. And I always thought that was the best way to go.
Mm.
What works works. She's just a pragmatist. And I asked her one day, I said, do you have any religion? This was when I was in high school, and she was drilling me on my catechism. Funny scene. And who's God? God made me, this kind of thing. And I said, what are you? And she said, I'm nothing, dear. I'm nothing. I said, oh, well, why are you nothing? I mean, I couldn't understand it. It was not a concept I could understand. And she said, you come into this world and then you die.
Hmm.
Ashes to ashes, dust to dust.
Hmm.
That's it.
She was a
That was who she
pragmatist.
was.
Well, she also was Jewish, which you'll find out later. Um, so you used to write a blog and then you turned it into a book. That was called
Yeah,
Sexy, Smart, and Strong. What
it's
was that?
I'm the boss of me.
I'm the boss of me. Okay.
Sexy, smart, and strong at any age. It's
Okay.
I became a blogger and a motivational speaker. So those 300 blogs I wrote, I came to Austin. I said, "Oh my God, I have all these blogs. What am I going to do with them?" And I thought, "Oh, I'll put them in a book."
Hmm.
And that was it. I put them in a
Yeah.
book, and it's a funny cover. If I had it, I would show you. Except for the fact that I ran out of the house without it to get here. But it was a really fun book to write. And I have a lot
Okay.
of advice for people, if they wanna take it.
Yeah. Well, so I think you have in that book you have the toolkit for life renewal. You've already given us some of that. Uh do you remember the toolkit offhand?
Yes, I
It's
do.
like 5. What can you go through that a little bit?
Yes.
You've
Well,
already
first
covered some of it. So,
well, I didn't cover this, but which I think is absolutely crucial. You have to have an attitude of gratitude.
yep. That's the first thing in your
This is the
toolkit,
first
right?
thing. And I must say that I've learned, in, and you have to give back to get back,
Mm,
kind of a response. But I've learned in Austin is so friendly, so darn friendly.
yes.
And I never realized how a community could be so friendly. LA's not friendly.
Mhm.
It just isn't. You're not going to take out your retirement there and have fun. That's not that place. So everybody's friendly. I mean, the checkouts at the market,
Yes.
the cleaners, everywhere. And so I go in and I'm always just expecting to have fun,
Yes.
and I do. And I thank these people, and I do that several times a day because it makes me happy.
Yeah.
And again, that's the way you get happiness.
Yes.
It's from your soul.
And
Um,
that's your yeah, so that's your attitude of gratitude. So you're
yeah.
thankful, you appreciate what you have. I think you said that that's the definition of having it all, right?
That's what having it all. I have it all. That we're not talking money, we're not talking jewels, we're not talking houses. It's just you can have it all with as long as you're grateful.
You're
Then you
grateful for what you have
oh gosh, yes.
yeah,
Really hard to imagine life without that.
without
And the
gratitude.
other thing that I've learned way through my life is vulnerability, to be vulnerable, to
Mhm.
be able to be emotionally connected and not worry about how you appear, as an emotionally connected person. And I've had to do that. I wrote a blog called "You Don't Always Have to Be Right," which
Yes.
I keep saying this to myself. That hasn't left me. You don't always have. So those difficult moments with your children, you
Mhm.
know, the little fights you have or the big fights you have or whatever, is you've just got to be aware of where you are emotionally and hold steady. Don't go off. Don't think that you're what you think and say has to be correct.
Mhm.
Life doesn't work that way.
Right. Yeah. You don't have to be right, but you have to be vulnerable for emotional connection. That's what
Right.
you said. That it and that's true because you know what? I think when I was a kid and I watched Oprah, I learned that because I always remember her sharing really personal things like, that she got molested when she was a child and things like that. And she said, I'm sharing this because if I share it, then other people who have been through it know they're not alone. And I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
that's so powerful, just
It take
to,
it takes away shame and guilt.
yes,
And there's a in once a homecoming queen. She says, "Does in a therapy session?" She says, does everything have to be about guilt and shame? Really, everything happens to be good. Everything? Yes." The
yes,
psychologist says, "Yes, I'm afraid it does."
yes,
So you got to get rid of that stuff.
that's
You know,
right.
you can't. No shame. I finally I'm finally getting it. You know, at 80, I'm finally getting it. Takes a while.
Takes a while. Hopefully
And
everybody can get it.
so one of the ways that you can do that is to learn to adapt. Adaptation is extremely important to get rid of those negative thoughts. You are where you are now. And I practice staying in the moment a lot. You know, one of the terribly destructive things to our society, I do believe, is that phone.
Yeah.
Nobody listens anymore. Kids don't listen. Nobody listens. They're off in some other land of whatever that is that they have, you know, and we
Looking
do
at
it.
their
We look,
phone.
oh, there's a text. I'm I have to admit I'm a news junkie, so that's not a good thing. So I practice phone off, TV off. I just practice it. And I don't have anything else at me, coming at me. So you adapt to the situation that you're in, stay put, stay mindful.
Yeah.
And then the hardest to acceptance.
Acceptance. Yeah.
It flows from adaptation. If you adapt, you accept. A lot of
Yes.
times it's hard to accept things in life.
It
You
is
know,
hard.
you
And
know.
I've heard it that the suffering doesn't come from the situation, it comes from not accepting the situation or right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, you have to
Nothing's that
accept.
well, there are bad things that happen. There are
Yes.
terrible, terrible, terrible bad things. But in your normal life, in your normal relationship, just accept what it is, you
Mhm.
know? And I think all the fights and recriminations come because we don't accept what's in front of us. We don't accept what is. Look, I know I don't really want to be in Texas, but I know this is the place I should be.
Because your family's here. Is that why?
Family, yes, my family's here. I would never have come to Texas. Texas wasn't even anything for me, you know.
Sure.
And they're here, and I go, "What are you here for?" So I had friends, and I came,
I'm so
and
glad you came.
yeah,
But also you came to Austin. It's the best part of Texas.
no, it's so different here.
It's really
It's
nice.
so different here.
Yeah.
It is the friendliest town I can imagine.
And it's beautiful. Okay, so what's next in your toolkit after
Well, I talked about passion enough,
passion? You gotta have
and then the
passion.
last thing I think, and this is a that I this what's on here is a 5 point list, you know, and all the blogs are in there in the book, and so you get an idea of situations, of examples, and things like that. But practice forgiveness.
Yeah.
I mean, my friend said to me the other day, "I just hold grudges."
Oh,
Ooh, and I went, "Ooh, bad
that's
news.
so bad.
That's so bad. Don't do that. Why are you? What is the reason?"
Yeah, what does
Because
she get out of it?
well, because you have to be right,
Oh, she
because
wants to be
your
right.
side is your side, not that's your side, and that's not. And so you can't forgive. I mean, I've had a situation here with a so-called friend that turned out not to be my friend. I was devastated. And I was even teaching her yoga all the time. So
Mm.
I'm like, what? And then in time and understanding what I think happened to her it wasn't me.
Yeah, it didn't have anything to do with you.
It didn't have anything. I took a step back. Now, this is another thing. Take a step away from yourself and lo the path in front of you, which is a Buddhist thing.
Mhm.
And that is the way it has to be, you know.
And so have you forgiven her?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, of course I have. I
I
mean,
think
she's
oh, go
on her
ahead.
path. I
Yeah,
don't know
she's
what
on
the
her path.
yeah.
I think when it comes to forgiveness, a lot of times the hardest person to forgive is yourself.
Yeah.
And what do you have any advice about forgiving yourself? Because that's a
Um,
tough one.
it is. Uh, I think it starts with something else. People have said to me, "Do you have any regrets in life?"
Mhm. Do you?
I, I can't think of one that would change my life or make me feel uh, that I've not done something right. I've made to sit well, the first thing, let me go back to one thing. It's really great to make good decisions. Making good decisions is just the best thing ever. And you go, I'm going to make this decision. It's going to be so fabulous. And it didn't turn out to be that way.
No, I mean, you can't
So you,
always do that.
in fact, it gets you into trouble. In fact, you say, oh, I didn't think this through. This isn't something that I really got onto. I didn't see it. And then you could have a regret, or you can just say that didn't analyze it correctly, didn't foresee something that would happen that was
Yeah.
not good. So you instead of getting attacking yourself, you spread it out a little bit. The feeling of, "Oh, I did this wrong. I wasn't good in this space, or I said something that hurt someone. If I do think I hurt someone, apropos of what something I said, I go up to that person immediately and I say, "Did I did I say something?
Yeah.
Did I hurt your feelings? Did I say something?" And they'll look at me and go, "Oh, what are you talking about?"
Yeah.
It's in my mind that I might have hurt someone.
Right. I'm the
Yeah. So
same.
the the answer to all this is stay present. Stay present. Don't go
Stay
away.
present.
Yeah.
And I think that's really good, but back to forgiving yourself, I just wanna make sure I understand that. So, you're really saying forgiving yourself has to do with regret and kind of reframing it like, "Okay, maybe I didn't have all the information." It just kind of letting yourself off the hook because you can't always make the best decision. Is that what you're saying? You do the best you can, right?
That's right. But don't make excuses.
Right.
No excuses.
Don't make excuses. Okay.
That's that's the worst. Accept it, forgive it. Don't put the I say this, don't put the booger on someone else, please.
Don't put the book That's a lovely saying,
Isn't
Joan.
it?
That's so
Isn't it?
beautiful.
It's
Don't
so
put the
poetic, I
booger.
think. Yeah, it's
It is
poetic.
poet. Don't
But
put
it
the booger.
really, I mean, that's getting down that's the granule of what happens to people.
I try not to make this podcast about and aging about looks or what you do because we get so many outside messages about you're old, you're wrinkled, you need to fix this, you need to fix that. And I don't want to be another voice in somebody's head, but I know that it weighs on people. And I just want to ask what you do because you are just so stunning and not stunning for 81, just stunning. And so what do you you really are. What do you do? What's your
A lot
routine
of
or
creams, a lot of
what?
oils. No, I do have a belief that we live in this climate and have for decades and decades. That dries your skin out. And so I learned, and I lived in Vegas.
Oh, yeah,
So,
that's really
you get
dry.
real old real fast and they get wrinkled, man. That's a torture. And so I when I was 21, I was like, I met this girl in school. I was still getting my college degree, and she sold cosmetics, and they were the first natural, no perfumes and all those fragrances you get in the stores. I started with her. Maybe it was 22. I can't remember. Yeah, it was 22 because I just turned 21. And she brought me over to her apartment, and she brought a bunch of girls, and she sold us cosmetics. And I don't know how she knew this stuff, but basically it's just tried and true. Put some oils on your face.
Mhm.
Always put oils. You know,
Mhm.
can't and you can't do too much about the sagging skin. You
Yeah.
know, you lose that
Right.
ability for tight skin. I mean,
Yeah. That's
that's just
just
aging. Now, have I had trouble accepting it? Yeah, and then I go,
yes.
it's not that bad. I'm probably the
Right.
only one who notices it.
Right. That's part of the acceptance. And,
Yeah,
y and gratitude, like, I'm grateful that I have 2 arms. Okay, they're getting a little
yeah,
saggy, but thank God I
yeah.
have 2 arms,
It's fine. It's fine.
It's part of the yeah, I get that.
And it's part of the transition.
Mhm.
It's part of the acceptance of death,
Mhm.
which nobody ever wants to talk about. And but death is is a part of life. It's inclusive in life.
Do you
It's
think
just
about that?
yeah, it kind of yeah, yeah. Well, see, I love the way Francine died in Once a Homecoming Queen.
Uh-huh.
She was
Yeah.
I love the way she died, and I think everyone has a right to, if they can, to die the way they want, because it brings them joy at the
Do you
end of life.
wanna give that away or have the just read the book?
Oh well, actually, she died with acceptance.
Mhm.
She managed to get through this list,
Mhm.
and all of them, all of
Yeah.
them.
She went through your toolkit for life renewal.
Yeah,
Not a
yeah. And so,
coincidence.
if you
So
have
y
that and you've had a good life and you left a legacy of love to your family first and foremost, hey, that's a good life.
yeah, nothing to regret.
No regrets.
That's right. Oh,
Yeah.
Joan, I love talking to you. I think that you are just a shining example, and thank you so much for coming on again. Thanks for listening, friend. From my heart to yours, be well until we meet again.